Hello, 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 hello. And how are we, boys? It looks like we've got our threesome going again. Oh. Oh, this is awkward. Wow. I was just so excited. Mr. Des Link, how are you today, my friend?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. Just returned from a very special trip, I must say.
Wow. Listen, I know you blessed us. I know you probably broke a number of cardinal rules at the disclaiming retreat with Guru. What was his name again? Guru.
Guru Ignatius, yeah.
Yeah. And I know you snuck out. And we were lucky enough to receive a few videos from you. I mean, mate, like, listen, if you could, in one word, sum up the disclaiming retreat conference, what would that one word be?
I want to say enlightening, but to be honest with you, I'm still at a state of still processing things spiritually. After
Well,
the retreat, it's still a lot to process. So I don't know if my journey's ended, Brenton. I think it's just started. I think it's just started.
okay. Um, is there anything Andy can do to support you? Because I sure as hell ain't. Is there any help you need from Andy? To support you, I should say, on this enlightening spiritual journey that you are still. I mean, can you just like, I don't know, take some concrete or something and get over it and move on?
Okay. Well, maybe I do need some help from the head of snake oil sales. I see Andy's got a new title, so congratulations, Andy. That's fantastic.
And talking about
Thank
Andy,
you.
Mr. Andy Evans, head of snake oil sales, how are you today?
Very, very well. It's been a terrific week. It's been a terrific week.
Is that because you and I caught up for a beer in Christchurch?
Well, one of many reasons, but yes,
Yes.
it was. I can I take this opportunity just to thank Air New Zealand for cancelling the 8 o'clock flight to Christchurch on Monday morning.
For those that aren't aware, that wasn't my flight.
And as a result, myself and Brenton bumped into each other in the lounge, having been sat 10 metres from each other for an hour and a half previously and not realising.
Yep. Which then also resulted in a beer in Christchurch on Tuesday night, which was quite special, actually. At which point, we managed to also dial in en route to the airport, said Desire Link. So, how cool was that? Now, Andy, listen, I give you a really hard time, right? And people often question why do I give you such a hard time? And I've got to be honest now. I've got a new concern. I've got a real, I'm kind of incredibly worried, actually, for somebody else at this point in time. Now, somehow, as head of snake oil sales, you have managed to convince somebody to be in your employ. I mean, what the hell? What nonsense did you sell them to convince them to throw in a really successful career with a very successful employer to come over to snake oil sales? I mean, what did you do?
Well, it was entirely selfish. I really felt as if I should get promoted. And to become head of snake oil sales, I had to employ somebody else below me. So that's solved the problem.
Now I know we don't offer an EAP service here, but does she need an intervention? Do I need to come around and talk some sense into her?
Yeah, I did appreciate the way that you dealt with those concerns face to face in the bar on Tuesday night. Yeah.
But she hasn't come to her senses yet, I take it.
No, not at all.
No. Okay, well, we're going to have to work on that. But hey, now listen, Andy, I don't know. When I ask you, how's our young apprentice going? I don't know which one we're talking about now. But how is our young apprentice Oliver going on his safety journey?
To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know.
What?
What
do you mean you don't know?
I've been traveling pretty much for 2 weeks. I'm assuming he's doing all right.
Wow, just such disregard. You get somebody else. You get a new a new person, and all of a sudden, you dropped Oliver. I mean, that kid has been trying so hard to impress you, and I don't know, Andy. I don't know what's beautiful. Absolutely appalling. Well, listen, I'm going to move on, and listen, just a massive friend of the show, Mr. Matthew Sadgrove, Andy and Des 2.0. This man is genius. He's not only covers for Andy, but he can cover for Des too. Great to see you're still in a safe place, Andy. Normality prevails. Now it was actually talking about really awkward. That's my favourite Sadgrove, as we all know. I actually ran into our most popular Sadgrove while in Christchurch as well. There was a little bit of awkward tension. I didn't quite know what to say, whether I should apologise, whether I should, what to do in that instance. So, it's been a fascinating week for me down in Christchurch. He's not the only one growing. Does this amount of harassment of consultant world again? Oh my God, Mr. Mark Gummer. All
Thanks,
you
Mark.
consultants stick together, right? Hey, but anyway, listen, before we get into it, I just want to, talk about what happened on this day in safety. Not a lot, actually, but what did happen, and listen, I was scraping the bottom of the barrel here. On this day, actually, in 2010, I guess this is a post-tragedy relating to safety. The Deepwater Horizon oil well was declared sealed after leaking for roughly 5 months in the Gulf of Mexico. That happened today in 2010. So there we go. This is what happened this day in safety. But
imagine that oil leaking for 5 months. It's hard to imagine, isn't it?
hard to imagine, absolutely devastating, and I think there was, just devastating all around from a safety and from an environmental point of view. And I would imagine there's still people and environmental aspects of that going on today. I'd imagine it's not quite over for some people still. Listen, I'm really excited. We didn't contribute a cent towards Des's spiritual enlightenment. So here's hoping we get our money's worth, I guess. Well, at least we're not. If he bombs this, we're not going to lose out. Des, do you want to hit us with a disclaimer today, mate?
I do, and this one's really special. Out of the whole disclaiming retreat for the 3 weeks, there was one really special moment. And I want to share that with you today. Yeah,
only one special moment out of 3 weeks.
Well, one stood out above all others, and I think you're going to like this one. So, as many of you know, I recently returned from a disclaiming retreat in Eastern Europe, led by the enigmatic guru Ignatius. It was a silent retreat, a time to reflect on the great disclaiming truths of the universe. But something extraordinary happened. On the 4th day, just after a particularly moving session spent trying to extract liability from a rock, the guru broke his silence. His voice was like silk dripped in legalese, like a cease and desist letter whispered through a foghorn. It was like Morgan Freeman narrating a risk assessment. And as we all leaned forward, breath held, he said, and I quote, "The Circus of Safety podcast is not legal or other advice. Seek professional help for your specific circumstances."
Wow.
I know. I still get goosebumps. So not only did he mention us by name, the disclaimer itself, it had the perfect weight, tone, and font size. If Helvetica had a spiritual alignment, it would have been that.
Wow.
Even more powerful, it was a third-party disclaimer.
He's still going.
A rare and noble form where the sacred act of non-liability is uttered by someone else entirely. In the disclaiming world, this is referred to as a ménage à trois, where the spirit of... This is serious, guys. Come on. Where the spirit... where the spirit of non-responsibility... Stop. Go on.
I think we need to end the show. Well,
so look, let's bring ourselves together here, because this is very deep, very meaningful. It was a divine moment, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of the learnings from the retreat in the coming episodes. But I think now it's a good time to reflect on that plausible deniability.
Wow! Oh my God! The chat's going wild. Great to have you back, Des. You've been missed. And I'm not quite sure what to make of this. How would I?
We are.
How would I go at a silent retreat? Well, I think that answers itself, really. Well, okay. With that in mind, jeepers, boys, are we ready to spin the wheel?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Not many left. Here we go. I know Des was not looking forward to this one. There we go. Today on the spinning wheel of death, is ESG really a thing? Wow, this is going to be an interesting short show today. Just kind of, wow, what a topic. It wasn't the one we were hoping for. We have got a topic relating to disclaimers, but in true Des form, it'll probably never land. But Des, I'm going to start with you, mate, because I mean, Andy and I have been carrying the show for 3 weeks while you've been away with Mr. Matthew Sagrove. Mate, what are the first thought that comes to mind when you hear that? Is ESG really a thing? Your thoughts? Is it? What do you think? Let us have it.
The first thing that comes to mind is why is this on the list of topics on the wheel in the first place? But the second thing is yes, and I think it's actually a term that there is a workable definition. That I think there actually is a legislated definition of this.
A legislated definition.
Find it.
Wow. Well, while you Google it, Andy, I mean, I saw your ears perk up there, and that was probably just due to the fact that Des uttered more than one word and put the word definition in there. I mean, what are your thoughts, Andy? Is ESG really a thing?
I'm not really sure what ESG is.
Des, did you hear that?
Yeah, it sounds like he's admitted defeat.
We finally have Andy Evans on the ropes. You don't know what ESG is. Is it not in your repertoire of snake oil sales? Are you Googling?
I'm just texting.
Are you Googling what is ESG?
Wholesale. No.
You're texting your employee to ask them what ESG is.
Oh.
This is wow.
Oh,
We've got you on the ropes. Well, but this raises a valid point. Is ESG...
What's it on here? What's this to do with safety?
Well, that's the question, mate. That's the question. Well, and that's what we're going to discuss.
Okay. Well, nothing. Because it's called environmental, social, and governance.
Yes.
It doesn't say safety, so it's not shouldn't be in the show.
Well, safety falls under social. I think I agree with Keith here. Andy, speechless. That'll be the first time in a while because you're normally so opinionated with your high and mighty snake oil sales. But there we go, speechless. So ESG, environment, social governance, and generally health and safety sits in the social space. And I guess you could argue it probably also fits in the governance space. But Des, have you found the legal definition yet for ESG?
Yes and no. So there is no legal definition which I thought there was. So sorry about that. But I did find that.
Thank God we had a disclaimer.
It generally falls under three factors. Environmental refers to an entity's policies on and approach to energy and natural resource consumption, waste management, and other environmental considerations. Social refers to the effects on an entity's decisions and policies on its stakeholders, including consumers, employees, suppliers, contractors, etc. And governance, this refers to an entity's policies and procedures regarding corporate governance, labor issues, resilience of supply chain, anti-corruption, blah, blah, and so on.
So there we go. Andy, does that help you at all?
Yeah, it does a bit. I just think it's a bit wishy-washy, isn't it?
Well, Des has just given you a definition, and thank God Matthew Sadgrove has come to a party.
Absolutely.
He's linked it back to an ISO standard, 2000. I can't even say that number. 26,000 social responsibility, and ISO 14001 environmental management. So wishy-washy that, Mr. Evans. Even ISO talks about it, and I mean, why do you think it's wishy-washy?
Well, it just all seems a bit loose to me.
In what way?
I'm Googling as we speak.
I can tell. You're multitasking.
Got me on the hop.
Got you on the hop.
It doesn't work well.
Well, no, it doesn't.
Where does it come from? Where does it come from?
What do you mean? Where does it come from?
What are the origins?
It's a trend at the moment. It's the latest fad, isn't it? ESG. Everyone's talking about it. It's a thing out there.
It comes from the world of investment, so it's an investing principle that prioritizes environmental, social, and corporate governance issues.
So it's a group of. I've got to be careful here.
Yeah, well, no, you're under a disclaimer, so you can say what you want.
So it seems to me like it's the hideous face of capitalism trying to grow a conscience.
Tell the world how you really feel.
You said there was a disclaimer.
I lied. You're on your own. You're on your own. But have you? So I'm actually fascinated. Is this? I mean, have you not come across this in your travels, Mr. Evans?
Not in any sort of context like this. No, I mean I'm very much about the lower level stuff. So the whole high level, why are we doing this as a society, is just interesting to think about. But primarily, that sort of stuff doesn't really save lives. It's the actions of the workers and the people at the ground that saves lives. So that's where I tend to focus.
Wow. Well, I'd like to. Well, I mean, do you not feel? I mean, if especially, I guess this is probably more of a large. I don't know, Des, what your thoughts are, but this is probably more of a large corporate type thing. And I'm going to come back to what I believe this thing is in a minute. I've got some opinions on it. But do you not feel though? So are we saying? I mean, this is corporate driving it from the top, right? So they've decided to adopt this ESG, so the environment, social governance principles. Do you not think that's setting a scene or setting the standard from a large corporate to those people that you just talked about? If an organization adopts these principles, no, it's for Andy. Sorry. Do you not feel that it's showing workers that they are taking safety seriously, taking all aspects of it seriously to empower them to better themselves in the workplace?
I'm far too cynical to believe that.
Wow.
Large corporates are focused on the dollar. They're about paying shareholders dividends, making money. Yeah. Anything else is just to help make them seem less like that.
Just want to point this out. Social covers human rights, labour standards, and workplace H&S. OMG, as in, oh my God. So, Brenton, you are right.
Yeah, but you got to bear in mind, that's coming from the second favourite Sadgrove.
What do you mean the second favourite Sadgrove? No, that's Matthew. That's
the favourite Sadgrove, the favourite one.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Oh.
So, Des,
your thoughts. He's the favourite one when he agrees with you. I see how it works.
Is this something you've come across before, Des, ESG principles?
It is, and I think it's one of those things, as far as a sort of generalist safety person is concerned, that sits on the periphery. You might deal with it in your role, you might not. Similarly, like there's a lot of anti-slavery stuff that doesn't necessarily, it's not legislated in New Zealand, but it kind of gets introduced to New Zealand via international companies requiring things of New Zealand operators. So ESG is similar in that sense, as other countries have adopted this more widely, especially in large organizations. And so we tend to get exposed to that either if we work for a large organization or if we contract to a large organization, we'll be asked questions about ESG. And it's the sort of language that is used by boards when they discuss strategy. And so I think a generalist safety person should at least know of it, and especially if they're talking to boards, they should be able to talk that language.
Because I guess that's the crux of it, right? So and I guess we're going to start to touch on what is the role of a safety professional, or what is a safety professional expected to know. This is definitely something probably that needs to be, maybe not so much for consultants that dabble in the weeds, but and play with the snakes, but for those safety professionals kind of working in that sort of large corporate, rightly or wrongly, right, it is something that they should be aware of.
I think so. Just aware of it. If I was putting together a safety professional training course, this would probably fall under the topic of governance, and it would be one element of governance.
Correct. Yeah, and I think I'm still just dumbfounded that we've got Andy on the ropes here. Look at him. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know where to turn. Clearly, Google's not produced anything of any value for him. And he is struggling. Andy, what is so ESG, right? And I guess what kind of got me, I guess, interested in this topic, and I'm gonna own it. I did put this on the wheel, is that I think it's a misunderstood thing. I don't think people actually understand what it is. Now, I'm not suggesting for a minute here that I do. I mean, I've got my opinion, but I think often people think it's a tangible thing, as in like I don't know how else to describe it, but it's something tangible. But my thoughts on the topic, and this is where I think people are going wrong, it's a set of guiding principles, right? So it's an organization, and I want to acknowledge Keith here, because Keith is a long-time listener and contributor to the show. And I know he's targeting me here, and I'm glad he did. But ESG applies to all businesses, not just a select size of business. Frameworks should be scalable. So he's starting to touch on it, but I probably wouldn't call it a framework. In my mind, I consider ESG a set of guiding principles, maybe a set of, arguably morals, which are made up of a number of things like policies and potentially procedures and the like. But in my mind, ESG is a set of guiding principles that an organization, and as Keith pointed out, regardless of size or scale, it should be scalable, but it's a set of guiding principles that an organization says, hey, we want to do the right thing, both environmentally, socially, which covers off the safety stuff, and governance. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Des? I mean, do you think it's a physical thing or a tangible thing, or more of a set of guiding principles? You seem to be the only other one on the show that has any idea what I'm talking about.
It's definitely a set of guiding principles, and they may influence sort of tangible things within your organization if you choose to adopt them. And it's not to say that if you don't adopt these guiding principles that you're not otherwise achieving similar goals.
Yep.
This is just a way of framing it, or a way of looking at it and structuring it. I think at an international level, it's been designed to facilitate cooperation for issues that span countries. So if you've got an environmental issue, or maybe a better example is COVID-19, where pharmaceutical companies that shared the ability to profit on the back of the pandemic, had they been a part of the ESG framework, they would they're more obliged to cooperate with each other, which could facilitate better outcomes for the global community. Now, that's all very airy-fairy and a bit vague and sort of non-committal, but it's just a way of looking at it. That
Andy, are you still switched off? Are you now playing Sudoku on your phone?
No, I'm learning. I'm learning as we speak.
So
it's effectively, so my understanding now, I claim not to be an expert in this field whatsoever, but it's fundamental. It's grounded in the concept of ethical investing, and that came from the Quakers and the Methodists in the 18th century.
Wow. So again, fascinating, because it's really kind of, I guess, more recently gathered momentum, right? So, looks like Andy's lost us. Are you still with us, Andy?
Like, actually,
yeah, we can hear you. So really fascinating and interesting that it seems to have gathered momentum, but like many of the good stuff, I guess people have jumped on a bandwagon, right, and are trying to promote it and get it back up and running. But it's not something new by the sounds of it, Andy. But you said it's been developed and derived from the 18th century, like so many other good safety principles that have come before it, or policies.
True. But it then evolved into what's called the SRI, the Socially Responsible Framework, so socially responsible investing, which was all to do with people divesting their interest in companies that were contributing to the Vietnam War or the South African apartheid. So it's it's really about that whole, its origins are in that empower through the purchasing power of individuals, or the investing power of individuals, to make social change.
There we go. And Andy, Keith has thrown you in the chat link, which you can click on, a link.
Oh, thanks, Keith. You're a legend.
I'm assuming it's not going to some kind of dodgy site that's going to corrupt your IT framework. So then swinging back around to you, Andy, I mean, considering all that, and I mean, we've gone down many a rabbit hole in some of our kind of dark conversations about safety and where it starts and where it stops, and we have touched on that a number of times around the global social influence over what's happening in the world. What are your thoughts now? Is ESG really a thing?
I think it is. I just so in 2004, there was a United Nations report called "Who Cares Wins" report.
Wow.
And it was basically that idea: if you're ethical, you'll make more money. And then that is developed into UN Principles for Investment (PRI) in 2006. This is actually quite interesting.
Fascinating that that they've touched on what sounds like a Wayne's World theory. Didn't Wayne's World say, "Build it and they will come," or something along those lines?
No, that was that baseball. That was Kevin Costner.
No, Wayne's World
as well.
Sure.
Wayne's World parodied it.
It's Field of Dreams.
What was that, Des?
Field of Dreams.
Wayne's World parodied that from Field of Dreams. Yeah, you're both right.
Oh, okay, there we go. So clearly, I don't watch anything educational. I just go for the parodies. So considering that, is this? Do you think, from what you've briefly Googled and Keith's great links of acknowledgement there, of knowledge, Andy, I mean, is this something you think you can get on board with, or do you think this is just another fad?
I think, like many things that go across the UN, I don't know if you ever watch any UN debates.
No, not particularly,
it's
mate.
Quite depressing. But when you look at the sort of the concept behind this, it's all very lovely. But then when you look at the reality of the world, we've got global conflicts, we've got millions of people dying of various things, and then you've got this that sort of sits over it and says, actually, if we do this, we're going to be all right. I think there's some bigger issues, really. Whether this is the answer to those bigger issues or not, I'm not sure, but I haven't read it in enough detail.
So potentially, are we saying, I'm going to put words in your mouth here, Andy, because it's great when you don't know what you're talking about. You can't argue with me. Do you are you suggesting that this is potentially a distraction from some bigger problems?
Possibly.
Oh,
I mean, it's a shame we could do a follow. I'd like to read this and then redo this Then redo this.
What have you been doing? This has been on the wheel for like, I don't know how long. And now you're telling me you want to be prepared. You want to go off and do something.
I got a bit obsessed with the one, can a control become a hazard? So I've got a whole thesis on that.
Okay. So is that going to be a 2-part show when that one lands? And listen, we haven't done a bonus episode for a while on the topics, predominantly because we've been a little bit frantic behind the scenes living life, and Des has been away on a disclaiming retreat, clearly, which we didn't financially contribute a cent towards, but we've had to pick up the slack behind the scenes because to maintain an operation like this, the Circus of Safety, there are definitely no ESG principles going on. Slave labor, there's no governance, and we're burning fossil fuels faster than a nuclear power plant.
That doesn't burn fossil fuels. That's the whole point.
Oh, awkward. Nonetheless, if there's somebody out there with considerably more knowledge on this topic or would like to feature on a bonus episode regarding ESG to help enlighten Andy, Des and I seem to have our kind of finger on the pulse a little bit. Maybe we're butchering the definitions or we're butchering an explanation of it. But if there is anybody out there that would like to join us on a bonus episode next week sometime, please reach out. Des, I mean, your thoughts on Andy's comments. So he kind of touched on the fact that there's obviously a whole bunch of nasty stuff happening out there in the world. You look at this, I guess, if you're thinking about the ESG and its origins, which Andy so kindly made us aware of around social responsibility. I mean, globally, we can't get nations to agree. I mean, I'm not going to touch on specifics here because I don't want to align myself with any anti-government slander in case we get taken off air and cancelled. But globally, people aren't potentially doing the right thing. I mean, is this just another fad? Is this just a distraction from potentially addressing some real world problems?
I don't think it's a fad. Look, it's a way of looking at issues beyond sort of the immediate area in which you operate. And I'll give you an example of what that means. So a company in New Zealand might say, we're taking a sustainability approach by having only electric vehicles in our fleet. And you might think, okay, well, that sounds fantastic from an environmental sustainability perspective. But if the cars are manufactured in a country where sustainability practices are terrible and, the lithium ion for the batteries is being extracted in a way that causes enormous damage to the environment, all of a sudden that sustainability initiative doesn't sound very great. And similarly, with the anti-slavery side of things, you might say, well, we pay everyone a sustainable living wage and we make sure that our contractors can do the same. But if we're importing materials from overseas that have been made using slave labor or very poorly paid workers, all of a sudden that initiative doesn't really carry much weight either. And ESG is a way of looking at things that seeks to address that. At least that's my sort of uneducated view on it. So is it a thing? Yes. Is it going to create global change? Maybe at a very slow pace, but I think it's a piece of the puzzle that each organization can contribute their own little bit and hopefully nudge the world in a different direction, a better direction.
Great analogy and fantastic examples. Thank God you're back, Des, because Matthew and I have had to carry Andy like this in your absence. But do you think this could make a difference to? We'll focus back in on what the show's about. This is a health and safety podcast. Do you think organizations applying ESG principles or applying an ESG lens over some of the initiatives can impact safety in a positive way?
But potentially, but I would say it probably doesn't really matter because it's just a way of looking at things. So, it's like saying, is an ISO accredited organization doing safety better than another non-ISO accredited organization? They may well be doing the same things. they're just looking at it through a different lens with the ISO system than they would be from a non-ISO system. So to say that doing one means you're achieving a better standard is a bit misleading. It's just a lens through which you're looking at something.
No, fair enough. Andy, you still Googling away there, mate. Is this something you're going to send?
No, I'm deep in thought.
You're deep in thought. Well, please do share your deep thoughts with people that possibly care.
Well, I think Des touched on. I think this is really quite a deep issue. Actually, this goes way deeper. This is sort of like a global issue about what we want from society, and I would suspect that this is largely driven by Western democracies, rather than where these actual things happen. And as Des said, there's been so many holes in it. I do think that the whole concept of it is really about shareholders feeling a bit better about their investments rather than making any tangible change. But I'm just very cynical about this sort of thing.
But again, that's why we, at times, not always, value your opinion, because you do, now and then, bring a very enlightening case. Maybe not in that example, but nonetheless, Keith, jumping in, does ESG apply more to organisational activities rather than specific areas like H&S? And I guess that's my wonder, and that's my worry, right? Organisations trying to embed ESG principles into the business, is it causing a distraction based on what we know of it? Because is it actually going to fundamentally change what's happening on the ground at the coalface where things are taking place? Arguably not. But again, it'd be interesting to see if anyone else has any thoughts on that. But what do you know? We have managed to fumble our way through a show talking about something that we have no idea about, which would once again suggest we're really good at what we do, or we just waffle about nothing on a regular basis. Wrapping up the topic, is ESG really a thing? Andy, do you want to leave us with some further words of enlightenment, or have you had enough?
No, I'm intrigued. I'd like to talk about it more. So I'll thank you very much, Keith, for the link. I'll have a read of the link. I think it aligns with some other stuff, some of the ILO stuff. I think that's it's really tied in with that whole social justice. Really, it seems to be that's what. So it'll be interesting to do a bit of research about, see how it ties in with the role of the ILO from the 1919 onwards.
Nice, fantastic. Des, any final thoughts for you on the topic of, is ESG really a thing?
I'll just reiterate my earlier point that it's something that sits on the periphery of health and safety generalists' remit, and some may be exposed to it, some may not, but I think it would pay to be familiar with the language that's used and what those terms mean and how they might apply to your organization. Will it result in a better world? I think it's really difficult to say. If we were talking, to take that anti-slavery example again, let's just say that there was, I don't know, in a developing country, an organization that was using slave labor, and because of ESG, this now sat on the radar of a number of different organizations that pulled their investment out of that organization or stopped buying materials or supplies from that organization. That might actually result in some change. I don't know how you would measure that, but it would certainly be beneficial compared to that not happening at all and no one being concerning themselves with that. So it is a bit up in the air and difficult to measure and difficult to manage, but that doesn't mean it's wholly ineffectual.
Well, I don't think I've like for a topic that's quite whiffy-woffy. I think your word count this episode has been the highest it's ever been. Fantastic. But I'm going to sum up what you said there in a couple of words. Doing something is better than nothing, I guess, is what we're saying. Well, there we go, team. We have done it. An episode with Des back from his disclaiming retreat. Now, Des, while you've been away, that's not really good. Let's get rid of. Let's just do that. How have book sales been going?
They've slowed down considerably, but I think we need to get the word out there. So maybe a special Circus of Safety episode
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because you and I made an executive decision while Andy was, who knows what he was doing, pre-show, that the next episode of the Circus of Safety, so that'll be episode number 16, not in 2 weeks' time, is going to be a special bonus episode on the topic that there's somehow managed to quabble some sentences together and pull a book out of. So please join us next show for a special episode on Des's book and the topic relating to that, which should be a whole bunch of fun. Now, listen, I've got to apologize on behalf of the entire Circus of Safety podcast for all those that came before us and no doubt all those podcasters that will come after us. But Laura McKay, welcome to the family. Our latest follower, she's going to be highly disappointed having only just recently found us and tuning into this episode. But Laura McKay, advocating for personal and process safety in high hazard industries. We actually apparently work for the same organization. Well, for a little while longer anyway. Currently the process safety manager for critical risk at Fonterra. So welcome to the party, Laura McKay. I hope you got something out of today. And if not, please don't judge us on one episode. Thank God we had a great disclaimer. Hey, Des, mate, so what have you got planned for the next little while?
A little bit of recovery, just to get my spirit aligned again, ready for the next show. But settling back into New Zealand life, it's been quite a change. I don't know if you can see the bit of a tan I picked up.
No.
The Caveat Monastery is the only monastery in the Northern Hemisphere that has a tanning salon. So I managed to slip some time in there.
How are you going to feel integrating back with us mere mortals after such an enlightening experience?
Look, it's enlightening but humbling, and being amongst mortals again is where I belong.
You said that for sure. A couple of quick comments coming in from Sarah Isbista. Interesting from an external HS investigation perspective in the area of commercial cults, aka highly unregulated sectors. Yes, so just I guess we could argue a bit of a money grab. Matthew Sadgrove diving in. It's an umbrella term which includes some of the aspects of social justice. Hopefully you find a guest who can do the topic well from elevated position.
He's worded that beautifully, hasn't he? He's worded that beautifully.
As in, you three are a bunch of muppets. Anyway, Andy, what have you got coming up? Are you still planning on inducting your employee into the business of selling snake oil? What's up with you?
Yep, absolutely. We're off to the snake oil farm this morning.
Nice.
To collect some new volumes. Yeah, and that's it. Keep going. Keep on trucking on.
Nice. Yeah, well, a couple of busy weeks for me, boys. Got the entire Oceania Health and Safety team with the organisation that I'm currently employed with coming over to Aotearoa, so it's going to be fantastic. Few days next week of engaging enlightenment as we learn, develop, and grow as professionals. Yeah, that didn't really come across as what's going to happen. And then the week of our next show, I might be coming to you live under anesthetic, going in for my shoulder surgery in the following Tuesday. So a little bit nervous there, boys. I might be doing a risk assessment and I might need to call on some professional support to determine the best means of dealing with the said risky business of shoulder
I think
surgery.
Keith and Matthew will be available.
to cover. Well, mate, I'm going to be a one-hand bandit. I don't know how I'm going to drive the show with one hand, but we'll see how we get on, right? I mean, listen, to be fair, Andy, you remember the last show without Des. I couldn't really mess it up any more than I did that show, right?
This is true. There's a very low bar.
So there we go, team. Absolutely great to be back. Des, it's a pleasure to have you back, mate. Missed you lots. Look forward to getting the souvenirs and the gifts that you've purchased us. But yeah, until next time, take care.
Thank you. See ya.
See ya.